Welcome back to another Pokemon What If Wednesday, where every Wednesday morning we go through last week's investing and collecting questions, where your guys' questions will actually be featured in the video, and one person's question will help me make the thumbnail every single week. So please drop your questions down below for a chance to be in next week's video. And if I did comment to you saying great question, I might use this and I didn't, please drop that same question again and put repeat question. It'll get moved to the top. And even then, it isn't guaranteed, but I promise if you just keep it in the comments, I will get to you. And I'm not saying I'm some guru who just knows everything, but when I'm unsure, I always like to talk it out with a few people. It always helps me make my final decision. And as you guys can tell, I am pretty sick, but I will never miss a video. I just wanted to apologize for my voice. I sound so stuffed up right now. And we are doing a thing all of December where we're going to be doing a giveaway in every single video. We started yesterday with Market Monday. So for today's giveaway, we got the Team Rockets Waba Fit. All you have to do is make sure you're subscribed, hit that notification bell. You got to hit that like, and then you got to answer the question of the day. So for today's question, which Mewtwo do you like better? Our Destined Rivals Mewtwo or the new Mewtwo we just got revealed from Mega Dream EX? Let me know down below. And we do have to give a big thanks to our video sponsor real quick, and that is Platinum Protectors. If you guys need cases for any type of collectible, Platinum Protectors has got you covered. They got cases for action figures, comic books, diecast, Funko Pops, trading cards, and video games. So if you guys need some really good acrylic cases, Platinum Protectors has got you covered. They even have the nice cheaper cases, which are literally just a few dollars a case. And that's what I use for all my new booster boxes. You know, for my higher end stuff, I'm using acrylics. But I also have all my booster bundles in these nice cheap cases, the UPCs, all the ETBs. You know, they got Japanese Pokemon, they got One Piece, Lorcana, they got it all. Then also, if you click my link in the description, you'll get 10% off your first order of $50 or more. So definitely check them out. And of course, if you're going to grade through PSA for your first time, click my link. You get $25 off if you use the code BEARD25, which is basically a free graded card. All right, first question is from Lil Zendaya 2020. Hey Beard, I was wondering how to stay informed on the Pokemon Center drops. I've tried to catch them, but never know when to look. Thanks. So it's actually super easy to figure it out. So every time we get a new set, you know, you'll see all the new pictures of the ETBs and like the booster boxes and whatever it is floating around on the internet. Just know it's going to drop on the Pokemon Center, usually that next available day. A lot of times we'll get this article on like a Friday. So just know like that Monday, these will be dropping on the Pokemon Center website. So yeah, whenever you see all the products revealed, just know it's coming in like the next couple days guaranteed. The only time it wasn't really like the next available day was, I think, 2 sets ago or the last set where a bunch of bots got in early and then it got delayed a few days. So, you know, for Ascended Heroes, I had no problems getting the Pokemon Center ETB. I knew the exact day it was going to drop. And all I like to do is I set a bunch of alarms at about 30 minutes. So starting from like, let's say 9 a.m. to like noon, I'll have an alarm every 30 minutes, you know, the next available day after all this stuff drops on the Pokemon Center website. And it's worked for me every single time, except, like I said, the one time the bots got in. So yeah, very, very easy. And this is your best bet to get the best products. I mean, this is your only chance to get the Pokemon Center ETBs really. And then if the set has booster boxes, you can also get those and booster bundles. So this is a guarantee. You have to get this every time when the set drops. Especially they are getting better at better of telling like who's a bot and who's not. So I didn't hear too many complaints of people getting kicked out for Ascended Heroes. So that's a good sign. Next is from DGen Wins. Sir Beard, I watched your Sunday video. I watched them all and love them. Talking about banned cards, and I have a question. I know you generally say the right time to sell is when you need the money, but with this being a hot market, do you think now would be the time to sell my banned Japanese Sabrina's Gengar in a PSA 9? Curious if you think the banned cards have a higher ceiling in the future given the volatility of singles. Thanks so much. So we will check here. Sabrina's Gengar. If you guys did not know, this is a banned card because there's tombstones in the background. Our English version does not have that one. So last sold 800, 734, 830, 575. We do have one at 936 also. So honestly, a decent amount of sales. We're getting one every couple days. So that's not too bad. But I like these cards a lot, and I do feel like there is a small chance that someday there is a banned card boom, and these cards go absolutely crazy. So I don't know. I'm keeping all my banned cards, but I mean, if you get a pretty good offer closer to $1,000, that might be worth it. That's a nice, decent chunk of money. Next is from @1020 Mellow. Yo, Beard, what's your opinion on the long-term value of graded double rare EX cards? I know they're not the flashiest choice to grade, but I've been debating whether it's worth slapping a few and holding on to them. So if you do, definitely stick to the more popular Pokemon. That's your best chance. You know, Gengar right here, that's a pretty sick art. Even the Charizard art is pretty cool. So definitely stick to the more popular Pokemon is your best chance. But I like taking gambles on stuff like this. You never know. There's even a basic Gengar EX that is worth a ton right now that people slept on for the longest time. So it's definitely possible for sure. You know, this new Mega Gengar here, also pretty sick. The Pikachu's pretty cool, so definitely worth a chance. Next is from Ariel Gill. Hey, good sir, what are your thoughts on half booster boxes? Are they worth even looking at for investing? Thanks in advance. So I've actually heard of a lot of box breakers buying a lot of half booster boxes because sometimes they can get them for a decent deal to where you can get 2 half booster boxes cheaper than a regular booster box. So, I mean, if you can get it for cheaper than a regular one, then I'd probably get a couple, but I wouldn't go super crazy just because not a ton of people collect them. But again, it's more of like a UK thing. You don't see them very often here to where, I don't know, some people might want to collect them. And I think they're kind of cool. I think it'd be sick if they made an enhanced half booster box and it came with that promo. I think that would really juice up these half booster boxes. But like I said, I do know quite a few box breakers who do buy these. Next is from You Just Peaked. Hey Beard, from the recent reveals of Mega Dream Ascended Heroes, what are your top 3? So, in my opinion, the top illustration rare for like art-wise is the Ethan's Magcargo. I mean, that card is absolutely beautiful. The scene, everything is just so sick. And then for special illustration rares, art-wise, I think the Mega Frostless has like the best art. I also think Pheasantipity art is absolutely beautiful. I can't wait to see that card in person. Even Mega Scrafty, I think that art is sick. But like my top 3 personal favorite, definitely the Mega Dragonite. We got Dragonair in there. Super excited. And this Iris's Fighting Spirit is one of the coolest trainer cards I have seen. You guys know I like the trainers when they actually have Pokemon in the card. And that just looks epic. But if I had to do my top 3, definitely Mega Dragonite, like I said. Steven's Metagross. I love Metagross. That card is sick. I do wish I had a little bit more detail. And then the Mega Gengar. I know it's a pretty basic answer, but I'm a big fan of all 3 of those for sure. But like I said, I definitely feel like the best art is Pheasantipity and the Mega Frostless. I think that art is crazy. And then if I had to pick a Mega Attack rare, I think the Gengar one looked the sickest. Yeah, Gengar or the Mega Frostless are definitely the coolest for the Mega Attack rares. All right, next question is from Joseph Romero. Hello, Professor Beard, the mighty wielder of the legendary Scruff. I've been thinking about getting some stamp promos from the Scarlet and Violet Era premium collections, for example, the Lucario EX and Tyranitar EX from the Prismatic collections. Would these be worth trying to get graded into 10? Or do you feel like these won't be heavily sought after in the future? Love your content, by the way. It makes my daily commutes more enjoyable and has helped me amass my dream collection. Keep up the good work. Thank you. So I wouldn't go super crazy, but I mean, the cards are so cheap, you know, it's not that risky if you just get a couple of them and get them graded. And let's say they do come back 10s, like that didn't cost you that much money. I mean, I'm sure they're even pretty cheap in a 10. I don't think there's going to be a lot of 10s out there. But yeah, a lot of these cards, they don't do the best, but they can definitely, you know, gain a little bit of value in the future. I just like getting the stuff that's not super risky, and if you enjoy the cards, might as well pick up a couple. Next is from D. Hodo. Good morning. What do you think about the Ascended Hero set? How heavily should we invest in Japanese and English? So our English set is going to be better because we are getting more cards in our set, including a Mega Charizard Y. And I think it's already confirmed we're getting the gold card, and we're probably going to get a SIR too. So I am probably not going to get a ton of Mega Dream EX. I am definitely focusing on Ascended Heroes. I was able to get 4 Pokemon Center ETBs and 8 booster bundles, and I would love to pick up a ETB case of just the regular ETBs because I have a feeling this set is going to have super easy pull rates. It's going to be a ton of fun, kind of like Crown Zenith. And then I'd love to get like a booster bundle display or something like that. So I'm definitely going to try to get a bunch of Ascending Heroes. Next is from Live, Laugh, Love Disc. I like that. Hi, PokeBeard. Question. I impulsively pre-ordered the Espeon Umbreon life-size plushies from Pokemon Center. They are now sold out, but I regret it. Laugh out loud. Do you think I'll be able to make a buck off them down the line? Were I to eventually sell them? Thanks. Always appreciate your content. So I also ordered them. I think I even ordered 2 Umbreons, and then I got Flareon, Vaporeon, and Jolteon. And if you guys did not know, when these giant life-size plushies do sell out, they do pretty much double on the secondary market. Now, every once in a while, they do restock them. We just got a big restock on the Lucario and I think the Altaria. So you got to keep that in mind. But, I mean, you'll probably be able to sell them. Just know they don't sell super fast. But you can even check on eBay, and they sell for minimum $600-700, and they're like $399 on the Pokemon Center website. So I am pretty confident if you did get them, you would be able to sell them and make a little bit of money. But just know it's going to take a while and they're pretty big. But yeah, I got them just because I love the life-size stuff. And then also, like I got 2 Umbreons so that way I could sell one of them to help me get one for free, stuff like that. But just know you can cancel your order still before they take the money out. So don't worry. If you don't want to do it, you can definitely cancel your order for sure. But all right, next question is from Jason GDF. Hello, Grandmaster Beard of Beards and friends of Suicune. I was wondering when you come to Indianapolis, would you be interested in a couple of Shining Fates ETBs? I think I got 1 or 2 Twilight Masquerade booster boxes, and I got 1 Scarlet and Violet base set booster box and a couple things like that. Would you be interested? I would love to do a trade with you. So I'd probably pass on the Shining Fates ETBs, but I'd probably trade for some of the Twilight Masquerade booster boxes. I got plenty of Scarlet and Violet base set booster boxes. All right, next is from Poketracks. Beard, when you say you're going to buy a bunch or a couple hundred of a particular card when they hit a certain price, how do you do that? Is it multiple places over time, or is it on TCG Player at once, or on eBay in a similar manner? Thanks in advance. So I'll do a bunch of different stuff. I'll buy a ton at card shows. Like I've gone to a lot of card shows where I literally bought every single Gold Star Greninja, stuff like that before. That way I can also see them in person. But otherwise, I usually will buy, the cheapest ones from TCG Player if they're from a legit seller. Usually clean out a couple sellers at least. I'm not trying to manipulate the market. I just try to get a decent amount at a time. I'm super cheap. I don't like spending large amounts of money at one time. So I like to just spend, a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit there, stuff like that. So yeah, I'm all over the place. Next is from a member at Marcellus Pokemon Crew. What are the better shows in your view in Minnesota? I think I have it, but curious on your perspective. So the Punch-Out show is pretty solid. It's small. So that's why it usually does pretty decent. But it really depends on if there's other shows going on. That's the bad thing in Minnesota right now. There's so many card shows to where when someone's having a card show, there's 3 other card shows at the same time. Otherwise, my 2 favorite shows, honestly, are the monthly show in Brooklyn Center or Brooklyn Park, and then the Canterbury show. Both of those shows are usually always packed, very busy the whole time. So those are definitely my 2 favorite shows. But all right, next is from a member at Code4. Hello, PokeBeard. As a longtime collector, being so long in the hobby, how does it come that you don't have the exclusives like Mario, Pikachu, the ponchos, and all that in your collection when they were cheap? And did you ever consider it? Many thanks. So at that time, I was actually finishing up Gold Star cards, Crystal cards, first edition Shinies, first edition base set, the big vintage stuff. And I'm so happy I was doing it then because it's so much more expensive now. And then I was also never the biggest fan of the Mario and the ponchos. It's literally just Pikachu standing there with a bunch of different ponchos on. I would much rather have the Pikachu Battle Festa cards. That's why I have a few of those. I bought those instead of ponchos because I like when we're actually getting a good scene, a bunch of different Pokemon in there. I'm not the biggest fan of ponchos. They're cool and I would like them, but I'm so happy that I chose my vintage grails and stuff. The cards that I've been chasing for 20 something years. I still feel like a lot of ponchos are overhyped, in my opinion. Next is from Tico Balian. What advice would you give to a new vendor? If I want to become a full-time vendor, what are some realistic expectations, goals, and timelines to achieve this? So just know there's going to be a lot of card shows you go to where you don't make any money because you're busy the whole time buying people's collections. So what I kind of like to do is kind of do every other. One show you're focusing on buying. The next show, you're kind of focusing on selling, just so you get money for the next show to buy. And the one thing I have learned, and that really sucks, is when you miss out on a collection, you're like, I'll pass, just because you didn't have that much money or you want to make money that day. I promise, just buy the good collection. If it's a good deal, you'll be so much more happier that you did. Unless, the market's really cooling off and stuff is dropping and your next show's a month away, then you have to be careful because when you buy a collection like that, that month later, a lot of stuff could drop to where you make no money on that whole collection. But, a lot of times though, I've regretted skipping out on collections, especially, you skip on a collection, you're like, I'll buy something on eBay or Facebook Marketplace, and then you can't find anything for weeks. It's almost impossible to find a good deal on Facebook Marketplace because everybody wants, 95 or 100% of market. And then same thing with eBay. A lot of these auctions, they go over what the whole lot is worth. So, don't miss out on those deals at, 75, 80% when you're at the show and you can see the cards in hand. And then make sure you got to have variety. I like to have stuff for everybody. Now I'm up to 5 Zion cases where I have 1 full of slabs. I have 2 modern cases, 1 vintage case, and then 1 mid-era case. So I got stuff for everybody. And then I even have a Japanese binder, a dollar binder, a modern binder, a vintage binder. I even have little statues and stuff. I just try to have stuff for everybody. And also, if you are trying to really grow, you can't really take a lot of cards for your own personal collection for a bit. Just wait like 6 months of just pure vending, do as many shows as you could possibly do. The more shows, the better, just because you're going to have more chances at good collections and stuff like that. And then once you have a good amount of stuff, that's when you're going to want to try to get your like grails or some stuff that's kind of rare or unique to where, you got some different stuff at your table and it's not the same. You got some stuff that stands out. Next is from Wolverine Slayer. I haven't seen you at a card show in Minnesota for a while. Are you going to go to the one at Canterbury in January? Yes, I will be at the Canterbury show. Like I said, those are one of my favorite shows. It's a fun one-day show. Simple, easy to park. My favorite, cheap to get in. And then, I'm also trying to make myself a little more scarce. I'm not trying to go to every single show in Minnesota, which is why I'm traveling a ton. I'm going to Indianapolis in December. Beard Dad will be there. Garchomp will be there. Even Real Breaking Nate's going to be there. And then I think that next following week, I'll be in Chicago or near Chicago, vending at like a Christmas show. It's going to be a ton of fun. All right, next is from @X Shiny Rita X. Hi there. Love the content as always. I'm getting more into sealed collecting. What is the best way to store sealed items when they aren't on a bookshelf? Should it be bubble wrap in a tote or something else? Appreciate it. So I do like those really cheap cases from Platinum Protectors, literally a couple dollars a case. But yes, I'm a massive fan of bubble wrap. But what I like to do, there's 2 different totes that I like. Kind of depends on your situation. They do have like perfect fit totes to where on the inside it is perfectly square. And then they do have totes that are like waterproof sealed. So if you want to be a little bit more safe, definitely get the waterproof sealed. And then yes, bubble wrap is your king. If you do not want to buy cases, just bubble wrap everything the best you can. I even bubble wrap the inside of the tote and the walls and just stack them as nice as you can. And then just try not to stack them too high. I actually like to get the shorter totes so that way it's not overfilled. I actually have an entire video about this. If you go to my playlist and you go to my how-to series, it's in there somewhere, so definitely check that out. Next is from @IKear the World. Question, what is the best Sword and Shield booster box and ETB set to invest in right now? So probably Evolving Skies, especially that it took a nice little dip. So if you do not have any Evolving Skies ETBs, I think this is a decent chance to at least pick up a couple, or at least the set. There's 2 different kinds if you guys did not know. And then for booster boxes, everything is just so expensive right now. I think Surging Sparks is one of the cheapest ones just because it had a little reprint. That might be a decent option. Otherwise, Mega Evolution's getting kind of cheap. But again, these are brand new sets and they're $200 something. So I'm not the biggest fan of buying those. So you're probably better off buying some Sword and Shield or some Sun and Moon booster boxes. Brilliant Stars, Silver Tempest, Lost Origin just took a really nice dip. I think that was at like $800 something a booster box. Now it's at like $600. So that's not terrible. But right next is from Glenn Howard. Why do you think the gold Charizard is cheaper than the SIR as the gold card is 4 times as hard to get? Because people love the SIR that much art-wise. Because you can go look at Mega Evolution, and the gold cards are worth more than the SIRs. But if you look at Phantasmal Flames, the SIR is worth more. I just genuinely think people are that excited about that SIR. I honestly am. I'm about to buy it at that price just because I don't want to wait anymore. I am going to wait a little bit longer, but I really don't want to. Next is from @Slaps. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Thank you. Glad to see you're expanding your reach. I know you get asked this a lot, but I got around $300 US to buy some steel product. Would it be better to try and get 2 PC ETBs that came out or a single booster box? I was kind of thinking about getting 2 of the Phantasmal Flames UPC if it gets down to the 150 area. I have a small collection. So you really can't go wrong with PC ETBs, especially if we're talking long term. Stellar Crown just took a massive dip. Not the best set, but we got a nice little small reprint. Also, Phantasmal Flames UPCs at 150 isn't terrible. And I know, people are probably thinking, but it was $90 at Costco or Sam's Club or whatever it was. Still, MSRP is technically $120 on that box. And you got to think, the Terapagos UPC is $170 right now. So this Mega Charizard box is much better than that, even though there's a bunch of them. And just keep checking. They are going to be stocking these for a while in the stores. So you never know, you might get lucky. And then also, you can just ask some employees. Sometimes they'll tell you, sometimes they won't. Depends. So that might be worth a try also. But yeah, I'm definitely going to be buying a ton of these Phantasmal Flames UPCs. I have 8 of the Charizard UPCs, and I wish I would have got like 200 of them. I do think the Charizard UPC is better than the new Mega Charizard UPC, promo-wise, and then pack selection-wise. There's some Evolving Skies in the Sword and Shield one, but still, pack selection, I feel like it's somewhat close, just because all of Scarlet and Violet is good, And, you know, Mega Evolution and stuff is very solid also. But yeah, I'm definitely going to be getting a ton. All right, and last question is from Johnny's Food Reviews. Hey, sir, Probopass, any thoughts on the sneaker market declining and how it could be related to the Pokemon market? So I do feel like there are two completely different things. I actually have a decent amount of shoes. I just like to collect the shoes that I had as a kid. So whenever they remake a shoe that I had when I was like 10, I like to buy it. So like I have a bunch of pair of Reebok pumps and stuff like that and some random Jordans. But the whole shoe game changed. I mean, everybody's wearing like New Balances and stuff now. So that makes a major difference because fashion always changes. Like every 5 or 10 years, I feel like the whole thing changes and everybody like different stuff, which I mean, kind of happens with Pokemon also. You know, the market does go up and down, up and down. It usually depends on what we're getting for sets and stuff like that. But I just feel like it's two completely different things. And also for the shoes, you know, they'd have a good shoe, it'd be worth a good amount of money, and then they would just remake that shoe. So it would just completely destroy the market on those shoes. But yeah, I was never a big like investor into shoes. It just didn't make a ton of sense to me. I just like to buy the shoes that I like and then I just wear them. So, but all right, that was today's Pokemon What If Wednesday, and I really do apologize about my voice. I just know editing this is going to be driving me nuts. But if you guys do like this content, please make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave a like and comment, especially if you want to be entered into that giveaway. And then too, if you guys want to support more, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube membership, all that stuff. I just started a Facebook if you guys want to go follow me there. Barely have any followers, so that would really mean a ton. All right, I want you guys to have a great day. And if you guys could do me a massive favor and watch my last vending video, it was my best vending video yet. It was actually crazy. I was signing autographs, taking pictures, just giving stuff away constantly. Please click this video here. Otherwise, we'll see you next time.